Well, hello, everybody. How are you? Thanks for joining us for day two of National Small Business Week. We are having a special time. We've got Miss Linda Gray with us, who I will introduce in just a minute. Hold on a minute. Miss Linda, can you mute? I don't know if you're able to mute Miss Linda. Can you mute Miss Linda? There you go. Awesome. Awesome. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Want to say hi, I'm Michelle Gardner-Ince, and it is such a delight to have you with us today. National Small Business Week started what? Way back in 1963 as a celebration of the importance of Small Business Week um, uh, and the impact that small businesses um, have with the economy of America. Sorry about that. I'm having a few technical difficulties, so I'm on two different systems here. But it's my pleasure to welcome and to have as our guest one of the most generous, amazing people that I have ever had the opportunity to meet. I met Miss Linda Gray as part of the Demystifying Government Contracting um, weekly sessions. For those of you who don't know me, let me introduce myself. I'm Michelle Gardner-Ince, aka GI. I've had that name for about 34 years. It's a first name, it's a last name, it's a noun, it's a verb, and it may even be an adjective. But all of my adult life, I have spent serving military members and their families. And I decided to become, a small business advocate. I've been an entrepreneur all of my adult life. And that's mainly because um, when I was in the military, the 27 years I spent in the military were spent running different entrepreneurial efforts. Anything that you can think of on a city or on a military base, hotels, restaurants, department stores, grocery stores, all those things make a profit. It is a reduced profit because of the support that we get from the small business, not from the small business community, but from the US government. So with that, the reason that I started going live on LinkedIn is because when LinkedIn named me as a top voice in 2021, it's not something you apply for. It's not something you can pay for. They watch your activity and award it to you. I decided it was too great of a gift not to share with the small business community. And so that is how I started going live so that I could help educate the small business community. And so every week on Demystifying Government Contracting, we host a LinkedIn Live where we have an amazing 360-degree view on government contracting. And Miss Linda Gray is one of our standing members of that expert panel. But also you've probably seen, and you can see in my background, I'm starting a LinkedIn Live GI Factor. So really this series this week is part of the initiation of that, working out the technical details, because normally we're audio only, but the GI Factor is all about, giving people insight into great government inspiration, innovation, insights, impact, and influence. And that can be anywhere from, state, local, government, industry. If you've got a story to tell, you've got a resource you want to share, if you're an innovator, thought leader, trying to get the word out to people, please let me know. There's one caveat: no sales, no sales, no sales. We don't mind sharing value, but we do not sell from this platform. For those of you who don't know, I am a federal government employee, 9 to 5. I work for the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, where I'm the director of the Women Veteran-Owned Small Business Initiative. And I do want to say that everything that you hear today is my opinion and the opinion of my guest, and it is not affiliated, nor does it reflect the opinions of the Department of VA, nor any other federal agency. Those who join us weekly know this. We're not sharing any secret procurement information, no confidential information, because really there is a wealth of information out there. But what there's a lack of is context of that information. How do I leverage that information in real time at the point I'm at in my journey? That's what this is really about. So without further ado, enough about me. Miss Linda, I'm going to, let's see if I can unmute you or ask you to unmute and come on to the stage. So, all week I'm going to be talking with not only Miss Linda, but also with others from our expert community, Demystifying Government community. But we're also going to be interviewing them because I want you to get to know these amazing human beings. And I say amazing because every week they show up, they don't expect anything in return, they don't sell from the stage, they just give, give, give. And businesses and CEOs, those aspiring entrepreneurs, can come ask questions and get to understand better just the government contracting landscape. Because no matter what you hear, I'm sorry, no matter what you hear, we know it's not easy. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce an amazing woman, Linda Gray. She's been in the nonprofit arena for more than 20 years. I'll let her tell the exact number of years. But when I tell you, I've not met a person more passionate about helping those of us who have a heart to continue our service. How do we fund our passion without it being a total sacrifice? And I think this is so important, especially in the veteran community, because veterans have sacrificed enough already. They have given for their country. And now many of us want to continue to serve through a nonprofit, but we don't really understand how do we get money? How do we leverage these grants? And so I'm going to ask Miss Linda. She's in Dallas, Texas, the great state of Texas. And she's got veterans in her family. I know she's got a daughter that's a veteran. But most of all, when I tell you that her heart to help small businesses and nonprofits connect with corporations and align their value system in order to match for collaborations. That's why her company is called Corporate Connections, but also so that there can be a joining of forces for a common good to serve. And Miss Linda has just been tremendous on educating me and many others about this arena. She's been a SCORE mentor for, I know, at least 20 plus years. And she's been award winning. She's gotten awards for her tremendous value there in Texas and beyond in how she's helping small businesses and their nonprofits succeed. So Miss Linda, how you doing?
Good afternoon. I am so excited to be here with you in the presence of the company and actually my peer individuals that we've had so much opportunities and had great information and knowledge that you have set up on this platform. So today we are representing National Small Business Week, and I happen to be SCORE in my capacity, my volunteer position. So as you see, I've got my gear on.
I love it.
Pearls.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You look absolutely amazing. So tell us, Ms. Linda, first of all, I know your daughter is she's an Army veteran.
No, my husband and my daughter are the Navy.
Navy veterans.
Yes, they
Well, I
are.
want to thank
Both
you
of
for
them.
your service as well, as a military spouse. Tell us, how did you get into this nonprofit arena? I mean, I know spouses naturally serve and help their husbands in the community, but how did this happen?
Well, let me tell you how this happened. I tell you, and it wasn't by choice either at
Mhm.
first, because number one, growing up in Midland, Texas, which that's where both my husband and I are from, and we actually started volunteering ahead of the game because number one, it was hard for me as a spouse, military spouse, to really get a permanent job. So it started from not being able to get a permanent job because once my husband, Vietnam, served his term in Vietnam, he started working, being employed with ExxonMobil. So we've traveled a lot and have really lived in 9 residences
Wow.
since his career with ExxonMobil. So we had to move a lot. So therefore, that's how I really got started in the volunteer because I didn't have enough employment history to be able to stay employed. And plus, we needed to be employed, both of us,
Yeah.
okay, with growing families. So that's how it all got started.
Well, tell me, so um, you know, how blessed military spouses are today, right? With all the programs, the portability between, licenses and certifications across states. Um, it has come a very, very long way. But tell me about, you know, what kind of training do you get when you volunteer to be a SCORE mentor? Do
Well, in my experience, we had moved to Mobile, Alabama, and that is where I went out personally to seek guidance from a SCORE mentor because SCORE been around for almost 60 years,
wow.
and so therefore, I decided that I would go in because I was doing a lot of things like selling Avon, doing these quick fix, little entrepreneurial type events. I used to be a floral designer, not a good one, but just enough to make flowers and boutonnieres, for my church. So anyway, when I went to the SCORE, I had no idea of really what type of business I wanted to start. But when I went there as a free service, and you got to remember, SCORE services are your tax dollars. Our
Wow.
tax dollars pay for the SCORE services and all of our business development services. So that's how I got started. And I never will forget when I first went in, I was terrified because number one, there were 2 gentlemen. When I walked in the room, there were 2 gentlemen, and I was the middle hot seat in the middle of them. And I mean, they were shooting out questions left and right. I mean, just shooting them out. And there I was, just stunned because I didn't know where to start or where to answer. So then, after I went through that process, I began to understand the resources that were available. And so back then, which was about 24 years ago,
Wow.
the information wasn't readily available because we had to do everything manually. So I had all of these catalogs, all these, books, pamphlets, and paper. And so I began to really understand what it meant to really start your business. I mean, starting out from scratch. So that was my desire and my interest to become a certified SCORE mentor because we wanted to make sure that the information is made plain. Because we, as nonprofit leaders or nonprofit organizations, you have to make your vision plain. So
Yeah.
due to that, I had the opportunity to really grow and learn from SCORE, and it's a valuable volunteer position. And so, if anyone listening and you're interested in volunteering with SCORE, please check us out.
So is the train, how long is the training? Because I'm sure you've had to go through some additional training. I know it was in books before, but now if someone wanted to be a nonprofit SCORE mentor, what are some of the things, how long is the course? And then two, what are some of the subject titles or areas that you'd have to be knowledgeable in?
Well, first of all, when you go on the score.org website, the first thing that you do is that they give you an assessment, online assessment. And that's what I like about it, because it assesses your needs, it assesses, your ability, your skills. And actually, that's the first process. But we as SCORE mentors, we are trained every day. We go through training after training on our platform. So it's an ever learning journey. So now we take webinar events, and we really train and learn along with the clients that we serve. So that website, I'm not playing, is nothing but a big training engine. It is. So it's never ending. But
So is
that's
it
the first step.
taxes? Is it because I've heard you on previous sessions that you've spoken about, understanding how the taxes and the nonprofits should be set up and those kinds of things. And you were just spitting out, laws, numbers, so and so. Do you have other than the laws and the taxes? Is there anything else that you teach the new nonprofit owners?
Yes, we do. And you have to understand, since COVID, we went through COVID and we're post COVID right now, but that has made the nonprofit industry the fastest growing business really in the nation. And
Wow.
the Small Business Administration, they actually consider nonprofit organizations as businesses.
Say
That's
that
one of
again. Say it again, Miss Glenda. Say it again,
Yeah,
please.
the nonprofit organization is the fastest growing industry in the nation. Now, and SCORE through the SBA, it is important for SCORE mentors actually provide definite mentor support, skill-based support for nonprofit organizations, because nonprofit organizations are businesses. They really are. You have to be profitable in the nonprofit industry now.
I'm so glad you said that because many people think nonprofit means no profit, and they are using their own funds. I've heard veterans say, "Oh, I've got my retirement. I worked 20 years. I'm using my VA disability to help, this passion project, this nonprofit they're into." And then I've heard other people talking about how hard it is to raise money, and which is why you're here, because one of the greatest ways for a nonprofit to generate money is through grants, correct?
That's correct. Grants, and also definitely some federal contracts when you are working with for-profit businesses, and that's a key for nonprofit organizations in their community to be accessible to the for-profit businesses in their community, to help collaborate and get access to a lot of resources, particularly on your local level, and especially corporate foundations.
Mhm.
They are the key
So
to.
corporate foundations, is that the basis of your name? Corporate connections, is that how that name came about of your company?
Yes, it did. And that name came about because when my husband, after he left the Navy serving in Vietnam, ExxonMobil was the first company, that he was able to get access to for employment. And so that was nothing but business, you know what I mean? The oil business, uh, definitely in West Texas, Midland, Texas, where we're both from. And so I grew up, and well, I can say I grew up in Midland. So it was all about uh, business, you know what I mean? The oil, cotton and cattle, so therefore, that corporate came from when my husband was working with ExxonMobil. The very first foundation that I reached out for a client was with ExxonMobil Foundation. So it's key for our corporate companies, to be able for our nonprofit leaders and our nonprofit organizations to definitely uh, impact your local community with actually working and collaborating with your corporate companies. So yes, that name called Corporate Connections for my business, that's where it came from.
Well, I don't want to delay anymore. I've got a ton of questions. I'm going to save them to the end. I'm sure probably some of the folks watching may have some questions, but I'm going to go ahead and bring up your slide. Thank you so much for for joining me here. And I'm going to take myself off the screen so your amazing face and your slides will be there. But I'll be right here. And again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Linda Gray. She's going to be talking about, the 7 ways to build that winning grant proposal for your nonprofit.
Thank you so much. And I am so excited to make the presentation today. Let's go to the next slide. And also, I'm hand-free today. I had some technologies. And so here's our quick agenda. I'm going to go through these PowerPoint presentation slides pretty quickly, but our main agenda today, and my focuses today, is to make sure you as nonprofit leaders that you are grant ready. And then also, I want to talk the last half of my presentation about the 7 essential components of a grant proposal. So we can just go right on through the slide. All right. It is important for us to be grant ready. And so what I mean by that is that we got to make sure our vision is aligned with our mission and our goals. We have to develop that. So a nonprofit leader is a founder. In other words, you as a founder, you're the vision. So you have to make that vision plain, and then you have to form a strong board of directors. These are key individuals that believe and understand the value of what your services and your products as well means to the community and how it can solve. And then, so we're going to talk about, you got to have specific activities in your services. You got to have those defined. And that's why it's important to create a business plan. And that's what we do. We help nonprofit leaders create a profitable business plan in the nonprofit industry. And then we also have to have systems in place to evaluate and monitorize our services, to monitor our services for impact. Next slide, please. All right. And it's important for us to have key documents always updated. And those are qualified staff members with your resumes and bios. Also, your board of director listening that have the list of the names and the affiliation of your board members. And then we're going to go right into the operating budget, because that's so important to have an operating budget and a project budget already developed even before you start implementing. You need a copy of your IRS letter of determination. You need to have all necessary documents that you have created based upon your nonprofit on hand, updated as always. Next slide, please. All right, we're going to talk quickly on the 7 components of a nonprofit organization. These components are so important because they are explained in detail in every application that you apply. Doesn't matter if you're applying for federal funding, it doesn't matter corporate funding, it doesn't matter private foundations or even individuals that give. It's so important. So we're going to go through the needs statement, goals and objectives, plan of operation, your key personnel, your commitment and capacity, and your evaluation plan, and your program and operation budget. Next slide. Let's talk about the needs statement, because that's very important. The needs statement, it builds a case of support by justifying the need for funding in your nonprofit organization. And you have to state facts, not fluff. That's why it's important to document the need in your community based on the services you are providing with statistics. That is so important. And you have to state the need or the problem associated with your mission. And the goals of the organization have to be explained in detail. So, look, don't do like I did when I first started in this business. I started writing about the solution. Well, how can I write about the solution when I have to justify the need, for the nonprofit organization and what its main goal is to really bring solutions, into our communities? Next slide, please. All right, so we want to it's important for us to use census data. That's very important. Census data is done like every 5 to 10 years. The 5 year, which is the last census data we had, was 5 years ago, and that's the current, and that's what we have to use. But most important, we need to access local data. So anyway, in every state in the United States of America have what you call a council of governments. So in every state, that is a great resource to really get good down to earth right now stats, for your nonprofit organization in order to approve the need. And so I want to go next slide because I want to go through a point of it's important for all your clients, no matter what you serve and what doesn't matter what type of services that you're providing to support your community. There are things that you have to really understand about your clients. You have to understand the age, the income of your clients, the marital status, and your family stage, and your racial background, ethnicity, and where they are located. So let's go to the next slide because this is a great resource. And for the purpose of this presentation slide, I put in the zip code for South Dallas. Next slide, please. And here is South Dallas. So you see up on the left, right, it gives us quick facts about South Dallas. So as you go through the quick facts, you'll get information of the population in that area, the median age, the household composition, and even where revenues are generated, you know what I mean? And how much of those revenues stay in your community. That's the key. But most of our communities, especially minority communities, most of our resources go out of the community instead of staying in. And then, so next slide too, I want to show you some things about South Dallas. Number one, South Dallas is right across the street or right across the freeway from downtown Dallas. So we know how the revenues from our area, is really compensated, through big businesses, strictly downtown area, and a lot of opportunities, for growing, for affordable housing. So there in South Dallas, as you see the graph, and I'm going to go through these real fast because I don't want to have a long time delayed on this, but you can see the household compositions. The orange on the right-hand side or your left, it means that is Hispanic communities. So in that zip code area, you have to understand our communities are divided by census tract. So it's very important to get your core statistics of exactly where you're penetrating your services at. Next slide, please. And you see the households by income. And you'll see on the left bar, where it's, 28,000, a year for a regular household family. That's the income that we're showing there in South Dallas in that area. And then you see over to the right, the lowest, you'll see 100,000, 150,000 plus. So you can see the disparities, but you also can see that in your downtown Dallas area, they can definitely use the statistics of the low income area in South Dallas to actually get access to the billions of dollars of economic development. So we got to be mindful, and then we have to be strategic when we're talking about, exactly where we are, how we can use our needs, to get access to these dollars to increase our economic development base. Next slide. And the population by race. You see on the blue, the majority of the blue, that means Black and Hispanic. So we have the largest minority population, almost 98% in South Dallas. So it's a great opportunity, that we have as nonprofit leaders to be able to make impact in those areas and do so strategically and also bountifully. All right, next slide. And the population by age. So you see mostly senior citizen 55 up is highest population. And then the ages 30 through 40, you see that is the age, population age that is in that area. It has grown since this statistics here, but not much. So you look at the age. All right, in the next slide. All right. So we saw some statistics, and that's important for us to get local statistics. Now, let's talk about our goals and our objectives. It's important in our program services, it's important to describe the outcome or the result and state the plan for achieving the goal. In other words, goals versus objectives. And let me say something about these two words, goals and objectives. Goals describe the anticipated outcome that we want to achieve in our communities, okay? And the objectives are the activities and the services that are needed to state for the outcome, to have a decent outcome. So we need to be very mindful of goals versus objectives because they both run hand in hand, but we want to be clear of what our goals are. And then we want to make sure that we address those goals and make sure that our programs and services align with those goals to meet the need in the community. Next slide. And so again, I always recommend using the SMART goal. When we're planning our business plan with the nonprofit organization, we want to use the specific, we want to be measurable, we want to be attainable, and we have to be realistic. And then we have to have some time-bound analysis. So always develop using the SMART rule. Next slide. And our plan of operation. This is key because number one, how are you going to address your plan of implementation? What about how are you going to promote your organization? What about your staffing plan? Who will provide services to your clients? And then how are you going to actually recruit clients, the people that you're serving? What are the operating days, hours? What are the services that you're going to offer? And then also, will you have some form of enrollment form or an application, to assess your clients' needs, and then always include a timeline for visually tracking your process. So this plan of operation is important. You have to have these items in place if you expect to get dollars. And I mean, several dollars, $1 million worth of dollars that are laying on the table in our communities. And I know particularly here in Texas, that's where we are. We are one of the largest state that have the greatest resources in the nation. We also the number one state that have federal allocations that are still on the books. So therefore, in our state, and I'm talking about Texas, we feed off of New Mexico, Arkansas, Louisiana, and New Mexico. We feed off of these states because Oklahoma, Oklahoma. We feed off of the states that are bordering our state. And every state, the states that are bordering your state, is what you have to pay attention to because there are funding opportunities that a nonprofit can get access to, for a region. And so it's a great opportunity to make and state your plan of operation so you can get everything covered, what you need. Next slide. You got to have key personnel and staff. You got to have the capability, to manage your project. And you got to list key persons and their roles in the project. And then you always include a job description. You develop that position for your nonprofit organization goals. And you start developing an organizational chart so you can actually begin to expand and grow once you start developing funding opportunities, really to grow and even to hire. So it's important for us to have and make sure we have key personnel, and then also taking advantage of the volunteers that are available. So we have some volunteer agencies in our cities, and we have volunteer agencies in our state that we can seek out opportunities to even recruit qualified professional volunteers that can actually help us implement our services. Next slide. And commitment. It's so important for us to be committed in our nonprofit organizations. That's the reason why we have to really define our services, because we're committed anyway. Because number one, nonprofit organizations are really implemented by volunteers. They really are. It's just that at this time now, we have the opportunity to get access to dollars to actually provide employment and also get access to qualified training for us as nonprofit leaders. And our nonprofit goal is really to continue to commit and then help build our capacity. And so there is a website, and I would encourage. I think it's on here. It's in Michelle. It's the name of it is up under my thing. The website.
The website. Let me see if I can see it on my side.
Yeah, if we can put that link somewhere
in the chat. Okay. Hold on a minute. You can keep going. I'll find it.
Okay. Well, that will tell us the value of our volunteer time. When you use that link, you can actually, it's in every state in the United States, because every state has the in-kind value of their volunteer time. Here in Texas, it's $25.03 for the volunteer hours that you commit in your nonprofit organization. So that brings leverage. So when you're writing out your proposals, you want to state that in your proposals that your nonprofit organization have volunteered and valued volunteer hours in the amount, and that's sort of justify, and then the funder actually will match it. So it's important for us to know the value of our in-kind time volunteer hours. And as nonprofit leaders, we really volunteer 24/7, but being realistic, during our volunteer time, as we are actually managing and growing and developing our nonprofit, the value of our time is so important. So we know we're committed. So we just want to put that link in there just so you can have it, so you can start evaluating your time and what you bring to the table already. All right, next slide. All right, and it's important for evaluation plan, because everything we do in the nonprofit organization have to be evaluated, because we want to make sure that we're on task, we're on target, and that we're meeting the goals, that we are solving the problems, for the individual clients that we're serving, and also bringing impact to the community. So we need to develop activities and timeframes for evaluating each objective or each program or services that we provide. And then we have to be able to collect data. So it's important for us to collect and evaluate, our evaluation. And definitely we want to make sure we can get access to a evaluator. And one of the best way to get a program evaluator is through the universities. Every university in the entire United States of America offers a free, no cost student to evaluate the effectiveness of your nonprofit organization. It's one of the best resources in the entire United States of America. So contact your university, any university, and go to their research department, and that's what they do. They offer an evaluation plan free of charge by their students to actually help you develop your evaluation to stay on task. Next slide. All right, and continue on. We got to develop a data system for tracking our progress, and then we have to document with surveys. In other words, we got to get response and information from the clients we serve to see how they're progressing. And then from the start, when they enter and start receiving your services in the nonprofit, and then measure them and measure their goals all the way until they leave the nonprofit services to be able to climb higher and then get access to sustainability. So it's very important to have also on your staff a PhD evaluator. That's a great thing, because that person, that individual can receive grant funds that your nonprofit organization can apply for just to pay for the services of a PhD evaluator. So that's a great opportunity about evaluating and making sure that your services are in line with your goals and your mission of your nonprofit organization. Next slide. Okay, now this is my favorite piece of a nonprofit organization, because the nonprofit organization have to be profitable. It have to be sustainable. So there are two budgets that we all have to keep in mind. First of all, a project budget. A project budget or a program budget is a budget that actually funds a project or a program that you're offering. So let's don't get let's don't get that budget confused. We have to determine how much and what is the cost of offering a program to your clients or a service to your client. We need detailed information and budget alignments to actually be able to fund and keep that program relevant, so it can actually help people, change their lives. So a program and a project budget, you want to develop that upfront for all of your services and all of your programs. You need to have a separate budget for each one of them. Next slide. The organization budget. Now, this is the budget that actually pay for all of your operations. So there's a difference. Operations mean paying for staff salary, also for the fringe benefits, FICA withholding, insurance, a savings plan, pay for travel, transportation when you're going to trainings. You have to have an organization funds to cover these expenses. Your space, if you're renting out an office space, if you're renting out a facility, if you're going into facilities that are available and open up for small businesses, you want to have funds for that. You want to calculate. You got to have supplies, and these are ongoing supplies, and also printing, when you're paying for printing costs, flyers, brochures, and postage, FedEx, also your telephone, internet, Wi-Fi, your equipment, the computers, even furniture, what I mean, depending on your nonprofit mission and focus. And then you want to be able to pay for contractual services, because as nonprofit organizations, we have to have experts and professionals, in order to implement our programs and services. So we really want to make sure of our operational budget. And I recommend, now this is me, on personally, because I have seen too many nonprofit organizations try to do programs and services without paying attention to their organizational budget, because that is the first wave of funding that a nonprofit organization should apply for. So corporate companies, Fortune 500 companies, they have the funding for operational expenses. And so you want to make sure that your operations are funded first before you get out there and start implementing services, because it gives you the opportunity to build your framework and make sure you be sustainable when you have your operation budget in place and those dollars that take to do that. So I encourage us as nonprofit organizations, make that the first priority right now. If you have not done that, let's just stop and get that done. That's so important. Next slide. Okay, I'm at the end. I didn't realize it. And you know what, Michelle? I am so glad you limited my time because I can go all day with this. So that is my presentation, and I hope that you all receive some information.
No, Miss Linda, you ran through that information, but I'm so glad that you were able to provide some tremendous information. I put a couple of links in there about demographics and the value of their time. But what I wanted to ask you was, let me put us back up here. There we go. I wanted to ask, for nonprofits who are seeking to serve nationally, you know, what are some advice or key tips they need to think about when gathering their demographics and market information?
Oh, Michelle, that sure is a loaded question. And look, I wanted to do that too.
I bet you did.
I did. I wanted to be so focused because number one, it's important for us as nonprofit leaders and nonprofit organizations to actually have, in other words, understanding all of the national resources. And we do, we do. There is funding on the national level that us nonprofit organizations that are grassroots within our community, we have access to those dollars as well. But the most important thing that we need to do in making sure that we have access and can get those dollars, we want to make sure that we collaborate with either a for-profit business or either another nonprofit organization that provides similar services that we do, to start going into grants.gov to pull up these national funding opportunity. And it is quite a bit of national funding. Let me give you one that we need to really start taking advantage of. In every state in the United States, they have a AmeriCorps program. I don't know if you all are familiar with AmeriCorps, but AmeriCorps is a federally funded program that provides contractors or professionals, they pay the professionals actually to come into your nonprofit organization to provide the services that your nonprofit organization need, from a webmaster, from an accountant, from a trainer. In other words, those of our federal dollars. These are our tax dollars, and they're available. Here in Texas, it's called Texas AmeriCorps. So you Texans, I'm telling you, we're missing out on the opportunities to get access to these dollars so we can hire, no, can't say hire, so we can get access to consultants to help, bring about opportunities such as a grant writer, and also, like I said, an accountant, a webmaster, technology, right? All of those available. So on the national level, yes. Now on the state level is even better. We have access to state dollars as well. We have about 25 state agencies, and I'll give some of the, like SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Service Administration. Right now, nonprofit organizations on the local level can apply for dollars to bring awareness to the community. So in other words, to apply for grant dollars so you can develop your organization campaign, your brochures to express and showcase the importance of your clients being served with mental health, issues. And we know at a time, because of the pandemic, it has been tremendous need for mental health services. So on the state level and also on the local level. So yes, national is key to take a look.
So, so what about nonprofits? I'm going to ask this, and then we got a couple of questions in the chat. What about nonprofits that focus on specific demographics, irregardless of their location?
Yeah. Once a nonprofit organization is a 501c3 entity, you can do business all over the United States and all over the countries that are recognized, to do business in. So yes, having the 501c3 strategically, you can serve anywhere. The only thing you must do is make sure you have some visible presence in that area.
Uh-huh.
That's important. Some type of visual presence. But as a consultant, let's just say a for-profit business,
Yeah.
a for-profit business collaborating with a nonprofit organization, I mean, you can touch the universe. And that's why it's so important in our communities that we take assessment of our needs, assess the businesses that are in your community that you can collaborate with so you can get access to federal funding seamlessly.
Yes.
Great opportunity.
Desiree, absolutely. Desiree Watson says, are newly formed nonprofits able to tap these resources? She came in a little late, but she's trying to get all the nuggets that you have to give.
Yes, every state in the United States of America have a community foundation. So if you're living in Texas, you Google Texas Community Foundation, and it'll have a list of them. So from those funders, yes, that's how up and beginning small, starting up. That's how you get your first entry into getting grant opportunities. Yes, that's so important. And start in your city. I hope I answered her question.
Desiree, did you have any follow-up questions? In the meanwhile, I'm going to ask Miss Linda, when you think about your name, Corporate Connections, you've been helping nonprofits, even small businesses, connect with corporations for years. Give us some of your secrets, girl. Tell us, how can we get to the big money? We don't mind fundraising, but there's nothing like getting to corporations and finding a large corporation that is aligned with the values, and their passions are our passions. But how do we get there?
Well, I tell you what, the first thing you have to do, and we have to make sure that we pulled up our city's strategic plan. That's number one. From your city's strategic plan, it will actually identify the opportunities of these major companies that are developers that are looking for opportunities to include community mobilization skills. So that's the key, is to take a look at your city's comprehensive strategic plan, and you'll have access to all the resources that you need to identify to make an impact. Now, what I can say with my experience with working with community development corporations are 501c3 entities. But what the community development corporations do, they work with cities and the government to actually help get access to millions and billions of dollars right in our local community, because we have the statistics in our minority communities. We have all the statistics to get access to millions of dollars to keep us comprehensive, going, and being a part of economic enhancement. So yes, your local comprehensive plan of your city and even of your county, and even through I guess I should have brought, and I do, we'll get it out later, but since the American Rescue Recovery Act, which was done in 2021, that acquired all the dollars that we need to address minority population, to include Blacks, Hispanic, Asian Americans, Native Americans, Hawaiian, also veterans. These are the key groups that the American Rescue Recovery Act has dollars associated with providing people of color and also impacting our communities. So now what we have to do is identify those resources that are still here. We are still, throughout the United States, have not penetrated or even spent American Rescue executive dollars. So we want to make sure on our local level that we contact our United Way agencies. That's important, because United Way agencies now, they are getting contracts from cities and counties and states. They're getting those funds to distribute to our local grassroots communities. But the problem is that our nonprofit grassroots communities, organizations, we're not applying because of lack of information. But now, so I would advise us to let's take a look at that American Rescue Recovery Executive Order. It's on whitehouse.gov. That's the website that is included. And so once we look at that executive order, then we can go directly to our local level institutions and organizations, especially United Way, to get access to those dollars. We have not because we asked not. And it's important for us to take advantage.
And you said the American Recovery Rescue
It's
Act?
called the American Rescue
Okay.
Recovery Act. It was an executive order. All presidents, when they come into office, they have their own executive order for funding. All of them. The last president, Trump, allocated some HBCU dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they still there. Our HBCUs that we have, those dollars are still there, because each president, when they come into order as president, they have their own executive order. So when President Biden came into, and I'm not being political, it's just a fact, okay? We have to be mindful of what that executive order is, how we get access to it, what it pays for, and every state have their allocations. So wherever you are, all you do is Google American Rescue ARPA, ARPA allocations for your state. And once you pull up the ARPA allocations for the name of your state, you will see where those dollars and those applications are. And that's how we have to apply and get access to those dollars, because they will go dormant. They're not going to run out because it's an order. So those dollars are there. So it's a great opportunity for us to take a look closely with the American Rescue Recovery Executive Order.
Wow, I'll find that. I put a couple of notes now. First, I'm going to put Desiree because she has another question. She says, I've been researching CHDOs. I don't know what that means.
I think it's community housing.
Development organizations,
Yes,
maybe?
Chodo. We call it
And,
Chodo for short.
okay, okay. As there are not as many in the area, but finding it difficult to find resources, even anyone that's familiar with that type of nonprofit. Are there any resources I can seek out for those type of nonprofits?
Yes, every state in the United States of America, every last one of our states have a community development corporation uh, technical training department. Every state in the United States. The one we have here in Texas is called the Texas Association of Community Development Corporations. Yes. And within those, it's a technical assistance agency where all of the funding, the grant applications are available for 501c3s to apply to become a CHODO. A CHODO is what you call a community housing development organizations, because we have nonprofit organizations that actually build houses, can get access to land, and also existing housing within a city for as little as $1 if that comprehensive plan says that. So that's why it's important to take a look at our city's comprehensive plan to be able to get access to those dollars. So that's why it's important for businesses, minority businesses, woman owned businesses, and veteran businesses to collaborate together collectively within your community. That's why it's so important. And that's the reason why we not getting the access, because we're not collaborating. And I'm not going to harp on that because it's plentiful. And so we just have to be very strategic and mindful of those things. But I tell you what, Deshaun, I'm not playing Desiree. Yeah, great opportunity for Chodos. Everyone here, you need to look at that. I can't hear you.
Desiree, I would reach out. I don't know if I'm catching a cold or what, but forgive my voice. Desiree, reach out to Miss Linda. Would that be okay, Miss Linda?
It sure will. And I
How
didn't
can
put
she
my
find you? How can she?
email too. I didn't put my email. And so for questions, right, that I can answer, I would like my SCORE email to be listed. And I can say that right now. It's Linda, Linda dot GRAY at scorevolunteer.org. Again, Linda dot Gray, Gray, at scorevolunteer.org. Please feel free to reach out on that email for any additional questions. And I want to encourage us too, even the nonprofit organizations, because SCORE is the only agency that is funded federally by the Small Business Administration that provide technical support to nonprofit organizations. They're the only resource in the entire United States that provide free mentoring and funding opportunities for nonprofit organizations. Only a resource. And so SCORE, we have 271 chapters across the United States of America. So when you go on our score.org website, all you have to do is put in your zip code and it will take you directly to your nearest SCORE office. And so it's the best resource because number one, we pay taxes in order for you to have access. So ain't nothing about paying your taxes. So it can be reinvested back into your community. That's why it's so important for us to take advantage of every federal funded, because these are our tax dollars. It's been our tax dollars for a long time. That's why so much money available, because we've been paying taxes all our lives. And the other resource, I want to encourage this because they've been keeping this from our purvey. It's called benefits, benefits.gov. Benefits.gov. That is the United States portal of every funding, every resource for US citizens at our fingertips. Benefits.gov. I took advantage of that too. I can go as probably everybody know my age. It don't matter to me because, as a citizen and as a senior citizen, I can go to any community college and take continuing education classes for no charge because I've already paid my tax dollars. So you can get access to all of the benefits that it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. That is a federally funded portal, benefits.gov, that helps us get access to all the resources in the entire United States of America to help people thrive. And this is a great resource for us as nonprofit organizations to share with the clients that we serve. So, okay, I'm gonna get
No,
off.
no. Hey, there's some benefits that people need, whether they're nonprofit or whether they are senior, whether they have children that need assistance. I know that's always a challenge when people have adult or young adult children that possibly could need help. So that is a super resource. I put that in the chat. I had a question from Linda. She said, from Lisa, our colleague on Demystifying Government Contracting, Lisa
Yes.
Anderson. She said, how is the grant process different for-profit businesses? Great question.
Ooh, that is a great question. But because of the American,
Lisa, I was trying, girl. I was trying.
How is the grant process different for for-profit business? Really not much difference. Really, it's not now. Since COVID, like I said, we're on post-COVID now, okay? Because of COVID has increased the chances for for-profit businesses to be able to apply for the same grants nationally, statewide, and locally for-profit businesses. Right. Not much of a process because number one, most of your federal funds now on the national level, the eligibility is for a for-profit business, a nonprofit business. In other words, your eligibility. So that's why no, is not much of a process. Now, federal government contracting, the process, is a little bit different, but it's still the same thing because number one, on the American Rescue Recovery Act, veterans are the main recipients of this American Rescue Recovery Act dollars. So Lisa, I hope I answered your question, but no.
When you say veterans are the primary recipient, how so?
Well, on the American Rescue Recovery Act, it'll tell you who are the eligibility people that these funding are acquired for, who have access.
Wow.
So it's veterans.
Wow.
They're a class all by itself.
That.
Right. And guess who else? All of the minority chambers in the entire United States of America. All of the minority chambers.
Wow.
And all of the Asians, all of the Hispanics, all of the Blacks, all of the Native Americans.
Wow.
We're locked in to that American Rescue Recovery Act. That's the reason why it was presented as an executive order.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to me there's a lot of opportunities. That's why, information is so important. And then I think what you've done an excellent job on is helping us realize where to access the information, and then now leveraging the information. So I know you've talked to a couple of people that are regulars on demystifying government contracting about their nonprofit efforts. But I'd like to say, so many of them, when it comes to the corporate, even if they find the right corporate entity to align with them, they don't know what to do from there. What would you say would be a great approach um, to them? That initial meeting with the corporate. What should they be doing before and during and even after?
Okay. The first thing, especially in the corporate Fortune 500 companies, it's so important to get on their website. And you got to remember on the corporate Fortune 500 companies website, when you get to their first website, you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom
Mm.
to get the information. Okay. I mean, you literally have to scroll and look through the fine print. And that's where you can get access to even have a meeting
Oh
to
wow.
start building your relationships. Yeah, because each corporate company, they have those programs that are already built into their budget. Because number one, all corporate Fortune 500 companies, they get funding from the federal government. They do.
Yeah,
Y'all know that?
I didn't know that.
Yes, they do. They do. They get federal government funding for workforce so they can recruit and diversify their employees.
Oh.
So we as entrepreneurs or we as nonprofit organizations, yeah, we have access to be able to represent them and get access to those dollars that they get from the federal government to recruit us.
Wow. I
So
did not know
it's
that. So once they
all
once
right,
so go all the way to the bottom, and are they
all the way
looking
down.
for the foundation people, or are they looking for the ESRG, the environmental social responsibility group? Where would you say they start?
Well, all okay. In my, I'm nationally. So in
Right.
other words, we're going to look up opportunities nationally. In other words, there's a free database. Free. It's called Philanthropy News Digest.
Hmm.
Philanthropy News Digest. And I might not, I don't know what the website is, but that is the database for all national foundations in the US. It's free. I think it's called P as in Peter N D. It's
Okay.
Philanthropy News Digest.
Wow. I'm typing that in the chat now here.
Right.
Uh,
That's the database for all Fortune 5, no, all private foundation. These are millionaires and billionaires that have started their organizations to give funds out. Rockefeller, Ford, I mean,
yeah.
all of these. And so we have to get access and we want to reach out to those because they're nationally, they fund nationally.
Mhm.
That's what I like.
I love that. That was a nugget there. I didn't even know that.
Yes. And
Yeah.
see, lack of knowledge, that's it. When we
People
have
there
access
lack knowledge.
to knowledge and wait a minute, and when we have access for information, we can't stop at just receiving the information. We got to process it.
True, true, True.
And that's so important right there. But then building relationships with these people, even before you submit a proposal to them,
Yes.
is good.
It,
And trust me, they own these emails. They own them. It documents them. It
Yeah.
justifies why they are
Why
getting
they're there, why
going
they're
on.
valuable, how
Mhm.
they're interacting with the community, all
Right.
those things. Yes.
And so we didn't know that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We had to learn this.
Yes.
Right. And so when, my husband was working with these people, you know what I mean? I was looking into their budget, what they fund, and ExxonMobil have the largest foundation here in Texas, and they're located in Houston, Texas.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So they don't know about us until we, introduce.
Until we show up. We
We
got to
have to
show
show
up.
up.
But so important of what you said is understanding what their budget is, what their mission is, doing the homework. Then if they have a free link to connect, reach out and say, hey, can I talk to you? But know already about them so you can have a conversation about what they want to hear, not about not about what you want to talk about.
That's right. And I did that before because I remember when I started writing the proposals for the first time, you know what I mean, just throwing it out
Yeah.
there. I was telling the funder my solutions.
Yeah.
He didn't ask me that. I wasn't supposed to be talking about solutions. I was supposed to be telling the funder my capability, you know what I mean? My experience, what I have learned, doing my needs assessment. You can't do that. You
Yeah.
do. And that's why it's important. And that's why these foundation officers, they like to have the initial communication first,
Yes.
either
Before.
by email or phone,
Mm-hmm.
accessible. You know what I mean? Face to face. And they will reach out to you for sure by email
Yeah. Yeah. I
as a
was just
tracking system.
exactly because they have to show numbers
Right.
to their board or stakeholders or whoever. So they do all that. When they have the first meeting, what should they be doing, Miss Linda? When you get after you've done your homework and you talk to them back and forth, and they say, "Okay, let's meet." What next?
No, okay. Let me tell you something about corporations and foundations. You're going to have one piece of communication with them, and then they're going to uh, refer you and send you a link to be able to submit.
In
Okay.
their portal. In their
In the
portal.
portal. Right.
Mhm.
Because you're going to sign up. They're going to give you a pack. You develop a passcode. And then when they give you that, when you first initial reach out to them, you'll know right then and there, you know what I mean, to come back later. You know what I mean? They're encourage you.
Mhm.
But one thing that I do know that once you make contact with them, you're going to always go to their website. You know what I mean? You're going to keep on monitoring it. But
Mhm.
look, say for instance that you don't receive funding, from that organization,
Yeah.
but you still want to follow up with them in an email, you know what I mean, to let them know to please consider, you know, your request for next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
Uh,
and how important is it to understand their funding cycle, Miss Linda?
oh, it's what I like about corporate companies like
Yes.
this ExxonMobil.
Yes.
They fund 4 times a year,
Wow.
all of them,
Wow.
because they're based on quarterly
God.
reporting. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
So 4 times.
Four
You know what
times.
I mean? And that's what I like about them. They, fluently, monitor and disperse funds every
Mhm.
quarter at their board meetings every
Mhm.
quarter.
And what are they looking for? Like I meet nonprofits who want to, um, you know, um, engage. Lucretia said, "Oh, she said you just answered that. when's the proper and right time to reach out. And you're saying quarterly. It's like, okay, I've got a nonprofit. I want to do this event, and I like Chick-fil-A will give meals, right? But if you don't catch them,
Chick-fil-A will give you a check.
what?
As a matter of fact, go on their website today.
What? Uh-oh, wait a minute now. I stumbled on that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Chick-fil-A, they give you checks as well as food. You know what I mean? For your events. But they are a check-giving organization, Chick-fil-A. And they're based on Christianity.
Yeah.
I'll be upfront with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't know what they do and how they determine, but their philosophy is Christian based.
Wow. I did know that because they're closed on Sunday, and they're unapologetic by that. And what's amazing to me about that is they're one of the top. I think them and McDonald's are neck and neck for 1 and 2.
Right.
The top fast food restaurants.
And here's McDonald's secret.
What?
You don't reach out to the national McDonald's. You find out who is the franchise owner on your local community. And you can find that information from any McDonald's.
Yeah, it's normally on the wall or something.
No, it's automatically they have access to it. All the McDonald's in the entire United States, you can walk into any of them, and they can tell you who owns the franchise anywhere, or give you an access to a number, a website.
Wow.
And you can find out who are the franchise owners.
Now, I do know Costco. That's amazing. I know Costco and BJ's will give you like cases of water, cases of juice, for various events. I've been doing events for a long time, but most of the time now, people come and they are late. It's at the last minute, right? They haven't thought about the sponsorship early.
That's what I like about Costco's. They give checks as well. And how you know that is that your Costco, wherever your location is, you go directly to the store manager or the manager at that time, at that location. Then they have you enter in your information right there in their database. So they'll have that available. And then when they get ready to fund, and they provide $10,000 grants every year, Costco.
Wow.
And then the rest, and I just recently found out a Nebraska furniture company.
Nebraska? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they are a huge furniture outlet. Well, I found out a month ago they are a 501c3.
Wow.
So yes, they are. They are a 501c3 nonprofit entity. Wow. Nebraska.
Felt like the state
of the entire United States of America.
No, I mean the name is spelt like the state of Nebraska.
Yeah, it's I hope I don't have the wrong name for this furniture place, but it's called Nebraska Furniture.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
We'll look it up. I'll look it up and I'll share that. I will.
Somebody said, "Who's the Lucretia said, can you share information about the open door Walmart and how the process works?" Oh,
thank you, Lucretia. Because that's a real good one, because it's a local funding. They offer community grants. They go from $25 all the way up to $5,000 locally. And each Walmart store, each Walmart food store, and all the Sam's are in that collaboration group for funding. It's a great opportunity. They've changed some of their rules, but I would recommend you go to Walmart Foundation and get their new guidelines. But that is the quickest way to get access, nonprofit organizations, quickest way to get funding. And they are a billion-dollar business. And so their funding never runs out. Never.
You said go to the Walmart.
Yeah, let me tell you what you have to do though, because I'm telling you now, because of this technology,
mhm.
we have to Google Walmart Foundation to pull it up.
Wow.
Yeah, if you Google Walmart Foundation, you'll see within that stream called community. You'll
Wow.
see community. And then that's where you click on, and that's how you can get access to their entry point.
This is such, I'm telling you, Miss Linda, you're gonna have to just come back just provide resources. Just
I would love to come back.
I mean, we look if you got time, we're supposed to go to 8 o'clock. Some people are saying, hey, let me look at my iPad here. They're saying they're asking about will it be replayed? And the answer is yes. It'll be replayed. And you'll have access to it. That's one of the reasons why this week we were going live. Normally we don't, we don't go live. We're normally in audio, which is a closed session. You have to join. We can see everybody, in the audience there. But this will be available. We have about 17 people watching, but there's been more. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're also on LinkedIn and even Twitter tonight, all week from 6 to 8 p.m. Give us 3 more nuggets, Miss Linda. Who said, you have to have a business email address for Open Door. Thank you, Lucretia.
Oh, yeah. Open Doors. Yeah, Lucretia. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because Open Doors is their new portal that you have to sign into and apply for. Okay, so yes. But let me tell y'all about y'all banks. If you all, the nonprofit organization, if you all have your banks, if you have deposited your nonprofit dollars into a bank, your bank has Community Reinvestment Act dollars, and they sponsor your local events, because number one, through the American Rescue Recovery Act, all of the banks in the entire United States that are FDIC recognized received grant funds from the American Rescue Recovery Act to pour in, to reinvest back into the communities, nonprofit organization.
So banks can reinvest. It can invest in your nonprofit as well.
They have to. It's a required.
Oh my!
So a suggestion is look up your bank in FDIC.gov. Look up your bank, and it will show the bad grades your banks have received, because they're not reinvesting back into the community. So you can help them.
.org?
FDIC.gov.
Oh, GOV. Okay.
Right, because this is all federal funds from the U.S. Department of Treasury. That's where the banks get all of their funds to be reinvested back into the community. But a lot of our nonprofit organizations have no idea that their bank have those funding, because they don't announce them. When you open up your bank account, they don't tell you, they don't give you. I'm sorry to say, I've been over and around a long time. Unless you mention it to your bank, you won't get access. They sponsor your events. They actually will come out and actually provide financial literacy and pay for it.
Wow.
Because we're our people, we're the unbanked people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's generational. We're unbanked. You know what I mean? And so we have access to improve that. So your
I'm
banks.
telling you, this is a master class. It is an absolute master class. I'm telling you, we have just. I know I've learned a lot. Now I've been around Miss Linda. Has it been a year, Miss Linda?
Almost 2 years. It'll be almost 2 years. And I think I first came on in August or September.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
And I can't thank you enough for your, for just you just sticking with us, right? I mean, this has become family. We are all, um, I want to say, in this journey together to help
Yes, we
the
are.
small business community.
And
We
I do
really,
want to share. Yeah, I want to share quickly. I'm not playing. This platform has really caused me to step out of my comfort zone. If
Mhm.
anybody know me, I know a lot of people that may be on that's been knowing me for years. You've never seen me within the last, let's just say the last 2 years that Linda Gray have come out. So I love this platform. I love my co, you know, business associates that's on this platform, Lori,
coach,
Chanel,
coach.
Coach, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? And Miss Anderson,
yeah,
you know,
Lisa. Yeah,
yeah, I do want to give her a plug. If
she's
you
amazing.
can I give her a plug?
Absolutely. They're gonna see her next Wednesday. She's gonna be with us
Ooh,
next Wednesday. Come on,
look,
come on.
if you all have not received her book or read her book, you got to, because she breaks down financial literacy in your business to a science.
Wow, look at that. Look at that.
And so nonprofit organizations get the book. So we can structure our nonprofit organization to be profitable with financial, nuggets. I'm not playing from A to Z. So I want to give her a plug for her book.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I will have to tell you that I do love about uh, um, this community that we've built is we are very generous. We are very supportive of one another without any expectation of anything. And I think that's what's rare, and I always say, you reap what you sow, but not where you sow. And if we just focus on giving, supporting each other, uh, identifying opportunities for each other, we'll have to pay less money for for business development because we will be feeding each other business or nonprofit opportunities. Miss Lisa, what's your book? If you will put it in the chat, go ahead and
Supposed to sell nothing, but I just could not help when we started talking about banks and financials, because
yeah,
that's the key. We got to have our financials in order.
no,
And that's
no,
why
we give love. Linda brings a lot of value. She is a gentle giant, just as unassuming, and you would say, would all of that come out of her? Absolutely, she is just amazing. So, I thank you, Miss Linda, for being with us. And can y'all show Miss Linda some love? We're not gone yet. We're not gone, but can you show Miss Linda some love in the chat? Let her know. Put some nuggets in there about what you learned, what was most valuable for her, from her, that has enabled you. And guess what? We're gonna bring her back because you can see she's an entire encyclopedia in the nonprofit arena. Oh, Lucretia got a question. It's a good one. Come on, Lucretia. We
yeah.
still got her. We
Okay,
still got her.
that's my girl.
We still got Miss Lucretia. I know Fire. I know Desiree. I know you full over there. You done had the appetizer You got the soup, the salad, and the main course, and the dessert too.
Oh,
I'm
I
telling
got a
you.
question. How should approach the bank? Real
Mhm.
easy. I don't know how you all, the nonprofit organizations who go and deposit, their funds, but it's so important that you go inside your bank one
Mm,
time, you do it just one time,
mm.
and introduce and say that you want to talk with the community reinvestment officer of that bank. That's all.
Wow. Wow.
And then they'll give you that information because they are mandated to. A lot of banks are in trouble in the community because they haven't been reinvesting and they're not offering loans to the community, the businesses in the communities. So they got to give it up.
Yeah,
But if we don't ask them, then, but that's how we got to make sure that our banks are supporting our nonprofit organizations.
absolutely. And you know, I never thought about nonprofit in the way that I do now, just having been exposed to you and all your knowledge and wisdom and you know, I want to say generosity because I think that's the right term because you don't hold back. You're not gatekeeping. You're not saying, well, I'm just gonna give them a little bit. You just
I tell you I tell
that's your
you
heart.
thank you, because what the Lord said, much is given,
Much is required.
much is required, and He
Mhm.
sure has. As a cancer survivor,
Wow.
you don't get a chance hardly. You know what I mean? And so, what you give out will come back travel,
Yes.
and it don't have to be coming back financially, but
Mhm.
coming back with a right frame of mind,
Yes.
your
Peace,
health,
joy. Hmm.
and then being able to serve.
Yes.
That's the key for me. It,
Wow.
it took me a while to learn this now. Okay, this ain't, Linda. I used to be a booger barrel.
I can't believe that. I absolutely cannot
Listen,
believe that.
a booger bear, really. But God, is faithful, and that's all we have to do as nonprofit leaders. Just stay focused to your mission,
Hmm.
because the funds and the resources are available.
Yes.
They're out there. So
Well, look, Margaret said, you've convinced me to start my nonprofit because I have been using my own money for outreach to the homeless community. Wow,
that's
Margaret.
right. And let
Wow.
me make a suggestion. Let me give you a gold nugget on this. The
Okay.
USDA dot
SBA,
USDA.gov.
USDA.gov. Okay.
On the local, when you go to that website, you can put in food, summer feeding program, and you can get access to that information. And as a 501c3, you can get some resources for your nonprofit organization to offer locations for food in your community
Wow.
right now.
Wow.
Right
Wow.
now.
Wow. What you think about that, Margaret? What you think about that, Margaret? Tell us what you think. That's just something. You know,
Yeah.
it really is. So many people want to help veterans. Homeless veterans, house veterans. I know that HUD has the housing vouchers. That will allow veterans and others who are homeless to take those vouchers to approved locations, and that will pay for them to have a stay, a month, a day, a week, whatever the appropriate amount of the voucher is. I do know that. So there's so many resources. Ms. Linda, can I ask you for our next uh, time you come, because it's not going to be last, for you to do a whole briefing just on resources, resources for data, resources
Yes,
for money, all
yes.
of that. If you let me know when you got that all tied up, because I know it's in your head and heart, but get it on a PowerPoint or however you want to deliver it, and then you just tell me, and we're gonna have you back, because this has just
Thank
been
you. I would love to. I would love to. I want to focus on corporate funding,
mm-hmm.
private foundation,
Mm.
and federal. These,
Yes,
yes,
that'll be perfect.
yes.
Y'all heard it right here.
I
Y'all
love it.
connect with Miss Linda. Um, follow her on LinkedIn. Check her out. Find her. Can they search for you on the SCORE website?
Yes, as a matter of fact, when they go to SCORE, that website is score.org/, and
Mhm.
type in Dallas, Dallas. And then when you go to my Dallas portal, which I'm a member of the Dallas chapter, we cover 3 counties: Denton County, Dallas County, and the other one, trying to think, Collin. But then you want to go to the national SCORE website, which is SCORE, and you can pull up some minority women and veteran mentors just like me.
Wow.
I mean, just like me.
They're not like you, but okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand, but Miss Linda, they're not like you.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we do. We
You're
have
special.
grown an association, and we're so excited about it. We have it's called SCORE Black Associates,
Huh.
brand new.
Wow. Wow.
We
Wow.
started a year ago. It was brought to the attention of some of our clients that expressed a need to be mentored by
Hmm.
someone that
That
they
look
can
like
relate to,
that. Hmm.
cultural sensitive.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have a Hispanic SCORE association. We
Wow.
have an Asian SCORE association. So we are individuals from all walks of life. But I'm so excited about the one that I belong to. That, you know what I mean. We're growing it together. So when you get on that website, your needs will be addressed.
Well, I
So
want to say thank you. That's not enough. Um,
yes, it is.
uh, you have no idea. I always say I started this in January of 2022,
Wow.
and I started it by myself, and I just said, like you said, to whom much is given, much is required. I said if I'm going to get to be one of the beta testers for this LinkedIn audio and live thing, I want to use it for good. It's not about me, it's about the community. And
Right.
so I didn't know if anybody was going to show up. You showed up. Immediately, it was like, John and Jesus, when they leapt in the womb in recognition of each other. Immediately, I knew you were going to be tremendous value to the community. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
Uh, when you're not there, you are missed. Um, but I just want to say that I appreciate you, and your growth shows, and the community is better because of it, because now you're just wide open. You're just sharing. You're not questioning yourself. You're just letting God use you in a mighty way. And it's a special gift for me, and it's a special gift for the community. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. What a great time. This will be available. This is, you tell anybody who missed it, please share it on your platform, on your profile. let them know they missed a good one, and they need to watch this. So I'm going to say good night. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to have the financial folks tomorrow. We'll have Iman and Cotton. We're going to have Daniel Winton. They're going to be talking about your personal credit and the importance to your business credit. And then Iman is going to be talking about how you can get funded for your small business. So we're having an amazing week. We're on this concludes day 2, and we're going to roll into day 3. Thank you and good night. God bless. Thanks for joining. Bye.